So these days I mostly game at home, but portable consoles have been a part of my life pretty much since this came out. That's why my Nintendo Switch is often with me in my backpack when I leave home, and why a few times a year I'll open up Google and type in, when is Sony making a new PS Vita? The Vita is now more than a decade old, and I remember being so hyped for it back then. It seemed like Sony took everything they learned from their first handheld console, the PlayStation Portable, and just improved on it. An OLED screen, PS3 level graphics, and a great design that honestly looks good even today. But there was just one problem. It flopped. And it did so for a few reasons, like a lack of major exclusive titles and its memory cards being crazy expensive. I mean, no one wanted to spend $120 just for 32 gigabytes of memory.
What?
Come on, Sony. But let's go ahead and talk about today. I've been using the PlayStation edition of the BackBone 1 controller for the last few weeks now with my iPhone, and it kind of got me thinking about a few things, like how it fits perfectly into Sony's future plans for portable gaming, and how it likely means a follow-up to the PSP or PS Vita isn't coming out, at least anytime soon. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and talk about the controller itself and my impressions after using it for the last few weeks. So if you've never heard of the BackBone 1 before, it's a gaming controller for smartphones that works with apps like PS Remote Play, the Xbox app, and Steam. As of now, you can choose between two versions of it. The standard one, which comes in black and has an XYAB button layout that pretty much looks like an Xbox controller, or this PlayStation edition that comes with PlayStation logos and a PS5 colorway. And just in case you're wondering, both BackBone editions have the same exact features and are compatible with the same apps. One thing to keep in mind though is that if you have an Android, you can only buy the standard edition as of right now. But if you have an iPhone, you're in luck because you can choose between the standard or the PlayStation editions. The iPhone backbones also work with any iPhone from the iPhone 6S and up. Putting the controller on is pretty easy. It's just a matter of sliding the phone into the left side of the backbone, then placing it into the lightning port on the right side. To take it off, just push to the left and it pops right out. The PlayStation edition also comes with an attachment for large iPhones, like the iPhone 13 or 14 Pro Max, that fits onto the camera side of the phone to lift it up just a bit to fit the camera bump. That puts the iPhone at a slight angle on the controller, but it's not really that big of a deal. The backbone also has its own headphone jack and power port, so you can charge your phone even while it's connected. Once you download the BackBone app and go through a quick setup process, you're good to go. BackBone also gives you the option of signing up for its own subscription service for some extra features, but I personally didn't sign up for that. Sorry, BackBone.
Bottom line, not gonna happen.
Since using the BackBone 1, I have to say I like it and I don't really have any criticism about it. But some things to keep in mind is that you'll likely have to remove your phone case each time you put your backbone on, so that could get a little annoying if you're a heavy user, and replying to messages isn't the easiest thing to do while the controller is on. Other than the small things, the controller is great, but whether or not I think you should pick this up isn't really about the controller, it's about your internet connection. Because the Remote Play and Xbox apps both stream from the consoles themselves, if your internet and cell reception isn't great, then your games are going to be slow and laggy, and that's if they even connect. So one thing you can do right now before even buying the controller is to download one of the apps and see how well it runs with your internet. Don't worry too much though, because there are some ways to improve your connection, and I'll leave some helpful links in the description. But because not all internet connections are the same, the experience with the BackBone might not be the same for everyone either, no matter how good the controller is.
Well, that sucks.
So why do I think this $100 accessory killed the chance for a new PS Vita in the near future? The gaming industry has changed a lot since the Vita launched in 2012. Better tech has made portable gaming even more convenient, and the Switch and Valve Steam Deck have both been hits. And other companies have got into the mix as well, like Logitech with the G Cloud. Portable gaming is not a small part of the industry anymore, and that is only amplified when considering smartphone games are pulling in tens of billions of dollars every year and have amounted to over $41 billion globally just in the first half of 2022. But even with all this growth happening, Sony stopped making the Vita in 2019. They even planned to shut down the PS Vita digital store back in 2021, but some online backlash made them change their minds a short time later. So at first it might seem like Sony has been quiet when it comes to portable gaming, but behind the scenes, they've actually been preparing to make a big jump into mobile. Just in 2022, Sony acquired mobile developer Savage Game Studios and then founded the PlayStation Studios mobile division, which they said would concentrate on-the-go experiences using PlayStation IP. And on top of that, Sony said it plans to have mobile games make up 20% of its software output by 2025. And as you've probably noticed, Sony has been releasing more and more PlayStation games on Steam like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Spider-Man, which for anyone using the Steam Deck or the Steam app, makes those games portable. And with all that in mind, Sony teaming up with another company to make an official PlayStation smartphone controller just kind of makes sense. Sony likely doesn't think there's a place for a new PS Vita right now, since smartphones have become more advanced and are practically everywhere already. And something like a familiar looking and feeling controller that doesn't break the bank could be the next best alternative. And while that might mean the PS Vita 2 isn't in the cards right now, the original Vita still has some life left. That's because the homebrew community has turned the Vita into a pretty cool console that can play all sorts of games. And if you're even slightly interested in getting one, you can pick up a Vita for around $150 on eBay. So I think the PlayStation BackBone controller is cool, but in the bigger picture of things, I think it also represents Sony's new vision for portable gaming. One that's not about them making new hardware, but about capitalizing on the hardware that's already in your pocket. If you're interested in the BackBone 1 at all, I'll left some links in the description, and feel free to let me know what you think of it. And maybe share some of your favorite memories of the Vita. Hopefully I'm wrong, and Sony does launch a new portable console someday, but we might have a long time to wait until then. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.